What's up, everybody? So I wanted to put out this quick video and let you know about how I almost died over the weekend. This wasn't, this was this past weekend. So, I'm just an adrenaline junkie. It's just my personality. I always take things to the extreme. If I buy gold, I'll buy the biggest gold. If I get a gun, I'm going to get the biggest gun, and so on and so forth. So I always go to the highest level I can go. So with scuba diving, I'm in this cavern. It's not a cave, it's a cavern. And it's very difficult sometimes to get a dive buddy because people are always working. And, the place where I wanted to go was a very, very far, desolate place in Central Florida. It's called Beaufort Springs. It's really, really beautiful, but it's really, really far and really, really desolate in the middle of nowhere. And so I'm sitting here, I go out there, and I always, say a prayer at the beginning of my dive because I think it's dangerous. Diving is inherently dangerous. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm hoping if somebody's there. I've been on this dive several times, so I was like, well, if somebody's there, it's great because then you don't want to dive alone. In my situation, I'm a technical diver, so I have redundancy. I've been trained for it. Everything I have there's a redundant backup life support system. So I have an additional BCD, which is your buoyancy control device. So if mine bursts, I have a second one. I have two independent sources of air. In case my primary air goes out, I have a secondary source, and so on and so forth. So I have I have my primary life support, then I have a backup to my life support in case something happens. And that's what you need if you're going in deep water, not that deep, but in my case, it's 135 feet. So in this situation, I was there, and I saw this one guy. He was working on his cave, cavern diving, and he was doing his rebreathers. Now, a rebreather is a whole different story. I'm on tanks. So my tanks are 120 cubic feet. Just to give you an idea, the regular scuba tanks that you see, they're 80 cubic feet. Mines are 120. So I have almost double the amount of air, and I have two tanks. So that being said, I felt confident enough to go in and do what I was doing, and that turned out to being a big mistake. And let me tell you why. So I went down, I did my descent, and I saw the other guy there. He was way further in. This is a cavern. This cavern, I'm going to post a video of it, on my channel later on, but this cavern is enormous. It's you could fly a jumbo jet in this cavern. Now, the difference between a cavern and a cave is completely enclosed, and you will not see the exit. A cavern is always, you have an overhead obstruction, but you can't. You always see the exit. That's a cavern. So cavern is kind of like a half part cave, but you can go in and you can go deep. In my situation, this cavern was enormously huge. Probably maybe about the size of a Home Depot store. That's how massive it was, And just to give you an idea, but of course it was deep. It's about 180 feet deep. So I go in there, and I'm doing my descent, and everything's fine. The first drop is about 80 feet, and then it kind of as you penetrate, as you go in further, the depth goes deeper and deeper and deeper, all the way down to 180 feet. So I was like, my buddy, he went 127 feet, and he beat me by 1 foot, which pissed me off. So I said, okay, well I gotta beat him. And so I went down, I was going down, and I saw, as I'm going down, I see this guy in the rebreather. Okay, the water's crystal clear, by the way. You can see like up to 80 feet of visibility. It's perfect visibility. However, as I go deeper, and I don't notice this, the opening to this cavern becomes like a fuzz, like a greenish fuzz, and because it's sometimes the water, because of the rain, it has like microorganisms and stuff in there, and you can't see them with the naked eye. But when you go so deep, there's millions of them. They'll block out the light, and you can still see like a faint glow, but it's not as profound as it is when there's no rain there. So this is what happened in my situation. There's a thing that's called nitrogen narcosis. When you go down deep, as you go deeper and deeper, all the pressure, your normal breathing pressure, you're breathing 78% nitrogen right now at atmospheric pressure, and then like 22% oxygen and other inert gases. So in the water, as you go deeper, the nitrogen level saturates, and you're breathing on regular air. You're breathing in more nitrogen, which gives you a possibility as you go deeper of this thing called nitrogen narcosis, and you get a little bit dizzy, and you start becoming incoherent, and you start making stupid mistakes. It's kind of like getting drunk, but at an accelerated rate. In my case, since I have experienced scuba diving, I know what it feels like, and I know what the oncoming symptoms are for me. So as I'm going down 120, I'm at 120, 130, and then I go 135, and all of a sudden I hit 135, and boom, it hits me, and I start feeling really, really dizzy. And I'm talking about, this happened within like 3 seconds. Like as soon as I recognize that, I'm like, bam, I'm out of there. So I'm looking for the exit. I look, and I have a lot of lights. These lights are very powerful cave lights that I have. So I look up, and there's an overhead obstruction. There's the cavern there, and I'm like, okay. Well, then I see a line, and I couldn't see. Because of the fact that because of the fact that I couldn't. I was having the nitrogen narcosis. I lost where I was in relation to where I was going, up or down. Everything just happened like all at the same time. But I knew this guy was close to me, and he actually, I would not have even gone in there had I not seen this guy. Okay, so I'm not a complete idiot. I'm just like a half-wit. I'm a half idiot. So what's that called? A half-wit? Anyway, so I go in there, and I tap on this guy's leg, and I go, look, I gotta go up. I was going like this. I'm out of air. I need air, kind of thing. I had plenty. Now, mind you, I had plenty of air, but I knew that if I didn't get out of there, and I mean fast, I was gonna die. Because what happens is when you get in nitrogen narcosis, you start making stupid mistakes, and when you're at 135 feet of water, and you can't just boom bounce all the way up, you can and you will die. And that's one thing I always respected, nature, and the fact that even on my motorcycle, when I'm doing these things, I have to be very, very careful and very, very cognizant of what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and there's a lot of factors that go into that. So I knew I had to guess. So I'm telling this guy, and he looks at my ear, and he's like, "Oh no," he's like, "You're okay." I said, "No." I said, "I'm going." I said, "No." So this guy was so calm. I mean, he was just cool, because I could feel myself panicking. And that's another thing too. Like, you got to remember, like, this cave has no light, okay? And when I say black, I'm talking about it is super black, dark, okay? And even though I may have been looking at the exit, because of the fact of all these factors and all these variables going in and the nitrogen narcosis, I was lost at that point. And this guy, his life was in my hands. I mean, literally, that could have been really, really bad. So I'm praying. I'm like, okay. So he goes and he points. He's like, that way, like this. So I go and I look at and I'm like, okay. I was able to say, calm down, get a hold of myself, start breathing, and look at my gauge and see, okay, I can see that the direction that we're going, we're rising. So in other words, instead of 135, it's going 135, going to 130, 125, 120. I say, okay, we're going the right direction. And I look up, boom, there's the opening. Okay. Now, I probably could have seen the opening the entire time, but because of the fact that I panic and all that other stuff, all those other variables, that like kind of one thing just builds upon another thing and adds up and adds up and adds up. But I didn't, you know. So what happened was, as soon as I realized that, I went to him. I said, I'm good. And so he broke off and did what he was doing, and I was able to do my decompression stops and you know, leave there safely. And you know, the thing is, what I learned was to never underestimate nature. Number two, never underestimate myself. You know, that if I'm going into a dangerous situation, I don't need to take unnecessary risk. Why? For what? What am I going to gain? I'm going to sightsee and end up dying. You know, the thing about caverns and caves is they're very extremely inviting and extremely peaceful. They're places where you just you don't even realize how deep you are, and when you're in the water, you don't realize how far you're in until it's too late. And I never wanted to have that happen to me. So luckily, you know, I did my decompression stop and I left. But I was like, man, that thing really scared me. I could have died. And I come up and I was just like, oh my God, that guy saved my life. Okay, so I knew that this Jason, Lieutenant, he always talks about, you know, facing your fear. And I said, okay, I came up. This is like a miracle. I don't know what the heck happened. So I come up, and there's this guy I used to scuba dive with, and he's like from Port St. Lucie or something. We're good friends. I've gone down to Key West with him. He's just a great friend of mine. I see his all of a sudden I hear my name being called, and I see some girl in a hat and smiling at me. I'm like, well, who's this? It was his wife. She recognized me. He happened to be there at that time. He's like, oh, and we were so happy to see each other, you know. And then I said, first thing, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go right on back. Say, hey, let's go back, but let's not go deep this time. And, you know, let's just keep it, everything safety, that kind of thing. And, you know, we decided we weren't going to go as deep. And we were taking on a new diver also as well. So we went back, we went at 90 feet, 100 feet, no issues. And then I said, okay, well, let me go back the next day and face this. So I went back the next day and I faced it, you know. Now, here's the thing. I didn't go and do any kind of penetration, okay? I stayed at the entrance. I went down deep, but I stayed at the entrance just to take some pictures. I got my GoPro. I got some great shots and stuff. But I wanted to face my fear, but yet I want to do it safely, okay? There's a difference between, you know, bravery and stupidity. So in my case, that was going to do that penetration, even though I am experienced. You know, I should have taken a spool. I should have gone a lot slower. I mean, I looked at my dive log. It was like I went down there. I hit 135 feet within like four minutes. You know, really, really quick. No reason to be doing that. So that was a lesson learned. I will never, ever do that again. Never do that again. But at the same time, I did not want that fear to conquer my life. I wanted to say, yeah, I went out, I conquered it, and I've done it, you know. Now, granted, I'll do it again, but I'm not going to do it by myself, and I'm not going to do it without a buddy that I know going that far in, and I'm going to have a line, and I'm going to have a lot of other safety precautions also as well. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, what I decide to do is my decision, you know. So gratefully, my lesson learned out of that was, you know, you can't do life alone. You never know when you're gonna need that stranger to help you and be there, you know, because had that guy not have been there, would I have died? I don't know 100%. Yeah, because maybe I would have gone it. Maybe I would have found it. Probably not. You know, because I was just down so deep and I was so out of it mentally at that point that I was just like, you know, I could have easily. And that's why, you know, I'm coming down. I wanted to do this video on the beach, but I couldn't because I'm trying to get back home, and I went to little Cuba, and it's just a long day. But that's what my lessons are learned from that. And I don't like to talk about my failures and weaknesses, because I like to, show it's just a pride thing. I guess I always like to show strength. But that's one of my failures, definitely a failure. And I learned from it, and I think I grew from it, and I think it's going to make me a better person. I think I'm more appreciative of life now that I came so close to death. And I'm very grateful to be alive. Very, very grateful to be alive. Thank God for that. So I hope this is an encouragement to you that don't do life alone. I mean, just build your tribe, build your people, your peers, your people that are going to support you, be around you, and live life to the full, maximum and abundance. Thanks for hearing my story.